Good evening. My name is Paul Taylor, and I'm the Executive Director of Gordon Neighbourhood House, and I'm here with the Association of Neighbourhood Houses of British Columbia. Social isolation was particularly high on the list of issues that was important to our members, and it's entwined with all of the others, and that's why we put it first. Please welcome Jane Fenrich and Frances Stone, who will present our proposal on social isolation.
Hello, my name is Jane Fenrich, and I'm a member of St. Thomas Anglican Church in Vancouver. For me, the refrain of this song represents something we can do to reduce social isolation. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song, no one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. That is exactly what we have to do, draw the circle wide. Social contact is a basic need of all people and central to a healthy community. People surrounded by a network of close, supportive friends live an average of 15 years longer than those alone. Recently, the Vancouver Foundation reported that 1 in 4 people felt socially isolated, disconnected from their community, lonely, and often depressed. In the Lower Mainland, it's estimated that 50,000 people suffered from depression last year, and 500 died from suicide. Social isolation was identified as the most important issue by our delegates. The other 3 issues of poverty, inadequate housing, and transportation are all intertwined and are contributing causes of isolation. In our church, we heard issues of transportation difficulties for seniors, difficulty getting to know the neighbors because of language and cultural barriers, and poverty issues in our local school and neighborhood. We found that there are 2 major aspects to social isolation. The first is the decline of the neighborhood, which relates to the ability and desire to reach out and care for those who are geographic neighbors. The second is the inclusion and support of marginalized groups. Human relationships are best developed face-to-face, so we are developing geographic clusters of MVA organizations to work at strengthening their neighborhoods. This gives organizations working cooperatively a chance to think and act on local challenges and to develop solutions or support already existing local programs. For example, in Southeast Vancouver, St. Thomas has forged a strong relationship with the First Lutheran Church and is developing ties with South Vancouver Neighbourhood House and the local elementary school to help support their needs. Within our clusters, we plan to reach out to different communities to work on eliminating this problem. One barrier that has been identified is the permit process for small local organizations, often organized by a single individual, to put on events in public places. Excess red tape and paperwork in the application process is preventing people from planning them. These events benefit the communities by creating opportunities for people to gather and have a sense of community.
Hi, my name is Frances Stone, and I stand here tonight on behalf of the Single Mothers Alliance of BC. We are a very determined, grassroots, community-building, leadership and advocacy nonprofit organization powered by single mothers, for single mothers in British Columbia. I am here tonight to talk about my personal experience with isolation. Isolation, by definition, is the condition of being alone. And that is exactly how it felt to me, like I had a condition and I didn't know the cure. As a union member for 20 years, I have always earned above a living wage. When I became a mother, a lot of things changed, including how much I could work. I couldn't afford daycare, I couldn't afford to stay in my community, and when their father went to jail, I ended up on social assistance. It was humbling, but it gave me the hope that we would survive. Life was hard. Everything was up to me, and me alone. Living in poverty, trying to feed my 3 children, dealing with the Ministry of Children and Family Development, and the stress of bankruptcy. It was a lot to try and explain to people what I was going through. It was just awkward. My life makes people uncomfortable. I wanted so much to be a good mother, but instead I was filled with shame with who I was in the world. I wanted to be strong, so I remained silent. Mother Teresa said something so wise, that the most terrible poverty is loneliness and the feeling of being unloved. I can relate to that statement all too well. It was simply easier to isolate than it was to explain. One thing that really helped me at this time was the Women's Empowerment Program through the Newton Advocacy Society in Surrey, BC. It was an oasis to me. It was there that I learned about the cycles of abuse, boundaries, and self-care. But most importantly, I was able to connect with women facing the same challenges as myself, as a single parent, and as a mother, as a woman. It was only then that I realized how much I hated and blamed myself for how my life had turned out. Empowerment for me came from understanding myself, and that has allowed me to feel compassion and forgive myself, which has been critical to breaking the cycle of poverty and isolation for myself and my children. Unfortunately, the Women's Empowerment Program was shut down due to lack of government funding. Isolation is the condition, and connection is the cure. Please honor the courage that it takes to break the silence by acting on what you hear tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frances. Thank you. We are starting on this journey to create a more inclusive, less socially isolated community. So as members of the MVA, we are all committing to use the power of MVA to create sustainable geographical clusters where neighbors can get to know one another, build trust, and tackle local issues. To use the strength of neighborhood clusters to reach out to other communities, particularly Aboriginal, youth, refugee, and immigrant communities. To use the strength of neighborhood clusters to support other MVA campaigns around housing, transit, and poverty. The Alliance is seeking from you, candidates, to work with us to develop innovative solutions to social isolation and to reform the permit process to clear the way for small local organizations wishing to put on events. We look forward to working together on this important issue. Together, we will draw the circle wide. Thank you.